In the previous videos, we mentioned about the experimental work. It is one of the approach that the researcher can use in order to find answer for their research questions. You know that the experimental work need to be conducted regularly in order to ensure reliable results. It is always a good practice for you to find the relevant standards, providing guidelines for you to conduct the experimental works in a very professional manner rigorously to increase the credibility of your test results. There is another factors that influence the accuracy of your testing. That means your specimen needs to be properly fabricated. Most likely you're going to fabricate the specimen yourself, or probably with the assistance of some experienced workers for you to produce the specimen to be tested in the laboratory. For structural engineering, most likely you're going to involve with fabrications of the structural elements such as beam, columns, slabs, foundations, and etc. All your specimens need to be fabricated in accordance to the standard procedures in the industry, as per the design adopted in the industry, using the same set of material as well as the equipments as adopted in the industry. In fact, you are trying to simulate the actual situations, not only the conditions of the structural element, it is also for the fabrication process as well as the design of the test specimens. You will need to use the right tools and equipments for you to achieve those. For example, you will need to use the bar bender for you to bend the reinforcement bar, probably a apparatus or a device helping you to bend your shear link. Design the specimen in accordance to the quality of the industry. Provide the reinforcement bars as per the design, and so on and so forth. Not only that, there will be casting of concrete, which will involve mixing of the concrete in accordance to the standard design mix, or ordering the ready mixed concrete from the local mixing plant to cast your specimens. When you cast your specimen, you will need to prepare extra specimens which are meant to determine the compressive strength of the concrete, such as you can do it in the concrete cube or do it in the concrete cylinder. This specimen will be tested on the testing day of your test specimen in order to resemble the properties of the concrete of that particular specimen. Before casting, you will need to check for the slump to ensure there is adequate workability as per the normal practice in the industry. For the aggregate, you might need to shift the aggregates so that the aggregate used in the specimens are well graded, and there may be a series of testing to be conducted in order to acquire the properties of the concrete, such as the compressive test, splitting tests, as well as the flexural tests. These are dependent on the necessity to know the property of the concrete as well as the topics that you are studying. I believe those from the civil engineering, especially dealing with the concrete structures, they are familiar with all this. As for those non-civil engineering, the similar principles may apply. That means you need to know the material and you need to know your specimens, so that when you conduct testing onto the specimen, whichever result as acquired from the testing most likely is governed by the materials as well as the design of the specimens. That means you need to know the entire pipeline from the start to the end until you reaching the results. Every single aspect of it will lead to the variations in terms of the outcome after you had tested the specimens. Normally, we do not expect one single testing to be conducted. It will be a combination of series of testing, which will give you different informations necessary for you to understand the subject that you are studying. This is going to be helpful for your interpretations of the test result as acquired from the specimen, for your discussions, and for you to acquire findings from your investigations program. One more thing that we need to mention, because you're going to do this in your lab, the disposal of the test specimens is also important. You need to abide to the lab policy for proper disposal of the specimens. You cannot just leave it there. You will need to work closely with the technicians for the proper disposal of the specimens. If it is allowed by your institutions, it is recommended for you to safekeep the test specimen until you confirm your submissions of the thesis. Sometimes you might need to come back to your specimen to cross-check certain things, or you might be required to do further testing on the specimen, hacking into the specimens in order to observe what is happening within the specimens. This is, of course, need to abide to the rules and regulations of your laboratory.